Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello and welcome to NPTEL's course on communication skills, module number 5, lecture number 3. In this module, the module number 5, so far we have been focusing entirely on writing skills and writing skills which are particularly professional writing skills and which are specifically related to writing, applying for a job, and things such as writing a biodata, writing a CV, writing a resume, and why you should do it, how you should do it. So, these are the things we have been focusing on this module number 5 on writing skills, letter writing skills, and the accompaniments that go with the job application letter. Now, in this lecture, the focus is particularly on CV. Now, remember from the previous lecture, just to recall what we discussed before, CV is actually short for curriculum vitae and it is the Latin word which means the course of life. Now, the course of life, as it was discussed before, is different from the sense in which biodata is used, where it is biographical in nature. Here it is course of life, but career focused course of life. Now, hence it is an overview of a person's experience and other qualifications. The person's experience and other qualifications, mostly in terms of education and career orientation. It is a long synoptic account of candidates' professional experience, qualifications, and some personal information. In biodata, the personal information is very elaborately given. Here, some of it is given, not everything. The emphasis of the information keeps changing depending on the company, depending on the position that it is applied for. The usage of this CV basically is British and Indian, but of course depending on the need. So, suppose you need to give a very long career profile and it has to go up to, let us say, 8 pages, 10 pages, and you have so much of accomplishments. Resume is not given, CV is given, and even people even in US sometimes may ask for a CV, especially if you are a doctor, you are on the medical line, or you are sending a research proposal and they want to see your publications and all that. If you give complete details, minimizing the personal data, maximizing giving complete details about your career profile, so then it becomes CV. Resume, as you might recall, is shorter than this and the focus is also very simple and very narrowly drawn up to the position that it is applied for. Now, before you apply, do not just jump into conclusion, write something randomly and send something. Keep in mind the 3 Ks. What do I mean by the 3 Ks? First, know yourself. Know yourself. Secondly, know your company or organization to where you are applying for. And thirdly, know the job market. So, it is very important to know yourself, know the company and know the job market. Briefly, let me discuss what is expected when you are supposed to know yourself. Know yourself. Now, know yourself in the sense, try to identify your goals and aspirations. What are your goals? Why do you want to apply for this company and what is your aspiration? What is the aim of your life? What are you planning to do in the next 5 years? What will you do if you join this organization? And will your goal suit this organization? How will it help you to enhance your aspirations further? So, keep asking these questions and then evaluate your qualifications. Assess the best qualifications, both educational and career wise, and then identify the merits and limitations followed by that. First, if you have to apply for a particular position, which educational qualification of yours is the most important one that might attract their attention? Put that on the top, give priority to that. Same in terms of career achievements, your work experience. What aspect of your work experience will attract this employer? So, identify that. That is what is meant by evaluate. What is good for highlighting here and what should not be highlighted at the beginning. So, try to identify that. Then assess your own merits and limitations. In fact, as we progress, I am going to put you some questions that will keep on making you assess and then write accordingly your CV. But generally there are companies, either in interview or before the interview, they send a format, and if you do not have a proper CV sent to them, in the format they will clearly ask you to identify 5 of your merits and 5 of your limitations. So, it is better to assess, identify your own merits and limitations than letting the employer ask you, and when you are caught unawares, when you are least expecting that, they will ask you to tell this. And they are not just going to leave you, they will ask you again and again, they will tell you, okay, at least you tell us 3 of your merits, 3 of your limitations. Now, when we talk about this, merits, yes, fine. So, you can say that you can focus yourself as a person who is very good in time management, you are very good in coordination, you have high responsibility taking ability. Now, all these things should be proved by some kind of activity that you have done. Maybe you handled a group event at college level, maybe you happen to be the president, vice president of an organization, you conducted a college literary festival, you conducted an intercollegiate tournament as the president of your sports council, and so on. But all these things will showcase your talent as an organizer, as a time manager, as a person who has group skills, coordinating abilities. Now, try to identify these potentials and then try to correlate that with the certificate that you must have got in these kind of aspects. Then this is on the one hand easy to identify, most of you have some kind of asset or not, but what about the limitations, and can you really tell the limitations? Now, some companies, as I said, they clearly want you to identify your limitations and tell them in advance. If you are not going to tell them, they even ask you to fill in a format which they will circulate it just before the interview. So, in that case, it is better you are forewarned when you know your own limitations. But as I said, the risk here is sometimes they may think that this is a kind of limitation that you have which cannot be overcome so easily. Say for example, you say I am an addict, so I am a drug addict, or I like taking liquor, I like taking drinks and I like to have it full, I get flat at night, and then sometimes because of this I get up late and then I cannot come to the office in time. Now, this is a clear no. So, this is a limitation, it is a serious limitation, and the employer will definitely doubt whether you can overcome this limitation or not, unless and otherwise you go to a rehabilitation center and then purge yourself. This is very difficult. But the kind of limitations that they are looking for are the ones generally a kind of extreme aspect of you, which if it is properly controlled and restrained, it can become a positive quality in you. For example, you say that I keep postponing things. So, postponement is delay. So, you say that I keep delaying things. Now, you say this, but if they ask you, so why do you postpone, and if you have an answer which you have listed in merit. So, in the merit you have said that I am a perfectionist, I would like to do everything in a very perfect manner, in a timely fashion, and I look for accuracy, I pay attention to details, and unless it is perfect and unless it is satisfying me in a perfect manner, I will not complete that task. Now, this is your merit, you say that this is an asset. Now, look at it at the other side, postponement, delay. Now, you can defend this by saying that I postpone, delay unless I am satisfied to my hot content that what I am doing is perfect. Even if something is slightly missing, I feel uncomfortable and keep delaying the accomplishment of that task. So, the reason for postponement is justified because you have an inner core trait which is beneficial to the company in certain cases. For example, Steve Jobs was supposed to be a hardcore perfectionist. So, his temperament combined with this nature for being a perfectionist had a lot of problems with the co-workers, but then there are people who love to work with him, and then because of this tendency to be perfect, you have world renowned innovations. So, like iPad, iPod, so Apple computer itself. Now, all these ones marked by one man's perfect vision. So, it is beneficial to the entire company. But on the other hand, if you say that I am postponing this, they also would like to know, so how long you do this? So, you cannot postpone a task endlessly, you cannot say that till death, no, that is not possible. If you also tell them, so this is a limitation, but if you can tell them that I am trying to overcome this by spending some extra time, I am getting up early in the morning, I am sometimes working over the weekend. So, I am stretching my working hours, I am giving extra time to this, so that I hope another 1 week extra the job will be completed, and by this day if I do not complete it, I had decided that come what may, I am just going to put an end to it. So, this gives a vision that okay, you are a perfectionist, you delay, that is a negative trait in you because of that, but again you have a sense of realism, you know that deadline should be followed. If at all you violate the deadline, you realize that you cannot violate it beyond a point. Now, these things again make a kind of all rounded person. What they want to know is your completely round personality. You cannot give a cardboard cutout flat kind of personality. In CV particularly, they want to see how round a person you are, including your foils and foibles, merits and limitations. Now, in this case again, take stock of your skills and assets. Skills including communication skills, soft skills. So, soft skills are your ability to maintain a rapport with your colleagues. People wonder how all the newcomers like talking to you and the seniors are also interested in talking to you. You create your own time, but when you want to spend time with people, there are so many others who want to spend time with you. So, how do you create this kind of social likability? So, that is a soft skill. So, if you have that skill, you can say that I am affable in nature, I am quite popular among my colleagues, they enjoy my company. So, that is an asset for you, it is a soft skill. So, identify the skills, identify your skills and assets. Skills again, even in terms of using some computer software which people are not quite familiar with, something like MATLAB. So, many people think that it is not that easy, some people think it is not their cup of tea. So, identify skills, communication, computer oriented and assets. So, there are certain things you think that only you can do, only you have mastered. So, that also you can talk about. So, overall it is not just, as I said, computer communication, but also your interpersonal skills which comes under soft skills, flexibility, adaptability, your ability to adapt in any situation. Suddenly you are asked to go to a foreign place where you do not know the language, but still you are able to manage, deliver goods and then you come back safely. and having earned some profit for the company. So, that is your adaptability, flexibility, and ability to work independently or in group. Some people will say that if you select me, you should allow me in a separate room. So, leave me alone and only then I will be able to work. Now, you may be a genius, but then how long they can afford you to work in a room independently? In organizations, in companies, you have to work with the co-workers, your colleagues, your peer group, your team. Okay. So, there is lot of team working, and if you say that no, I cannot work in a team, so I want to work only independently, so you are a problematic character. So, they will think twice. Unless you prove that you are a real genius and you are going to make lot of profit for the company, they would wonder whether you will be a liability or an asset. So, having said that, when you are positioning yourself in terms of knowing yourself, you try to ask you where you are becoming an asset and what are your liabilities and what steps are you taking to minimize those liabilities. How will you help the company if they hire you to make you as a valuable asset and match your goal with their goals and then incur lot of profit. So, remember it is a purely business world, and then if they want to spend so much time, energy, money on you, so they want to get back maybe double, 5 times, 10 times than what you are giving. If that is the case, they do not want you to be a liability, they want you to be an asset. So, think of your skill sets, your qualifications, evaluate them and make it a package so that you can give it to them as an asset. And if you say, for example, instead of saying that I will always work independently, if you can say I can either work independently or work in a group, in both cases you show past experience that you are given an independent task project for 3 months which you completed successfully. You are given another teamwork project in which you worked with some 12 peer group members, which also you executed to the satisfaction of the owners. So, if you are able to prove this, so you become a very indomitable combination, you have your own cutting edge. So, first know yourself, and after knowing yourself, know your company. Today it is not difficult to know your company before you apply for a particular position in that company. There are so many resources, you can search the web, you can use the library, you can even interview a person of that company. You can even ask somebody who was fired off from that company. So, find out somebody who can give you some kind of information about the company. Even you can go through their brochures, you can look at their advertisements carefully, and even you can go to their competitors and find out what is that they want to market now, what is their product. So, what is the marketability, what is their job market and all that. You make your own research. Who is the owner, who is the CEO, who is owning this, can I actually see the person who is owning this when I go for the interview, or it will be somebody who will be conducting the interview. Ask these kind of questions and then identify their goals. What are the goals of that company? Identify their objectives, their targets. What is it that they are aspiring for? What is it that they are trying to introduce? How many years of research they are willing to do, and at what period of time they are going to introduce this product. Now, ask all these questions, and your previous research on knowing yourself, ask whether it is gelling with this, whether it is matching with this. So, your aspirations, your goals, if it matches with their aspirations, their goals, so you have a perfect combination. You will enjoy the job that for which you are going to be paid also. Try to identify that kind of company. Even otherwise, even if you are not able to get a company of your choice, if you can get something from where you can gain lot of work experience, you can use that as a springboard, dive board, where you can go for another job opportunity, but that job opportunity you will get only if you spend some considerable amount of time in this company, which is initially appearing to be something that is not of your interest. It does not matter, but get into that. get that work experience, which is very important. That is why you should know the company. Sometimes there are questions that are asked to you in the interview based on your CV. Questions like, what do you know about our product? Who do you think are our competitors? Do you have any strategies for tackling the competition that we have in the outside market? And so on. So, doing a research on the company not only is going to locate, position your CV, but also will be coming very handy when you go for the interview. So, that is why you should know about your company, and before you apply also know the job market. What should you do in terms of knowing about the job market? Gather some knowledge about the competitive environment. It is not sufficient that a product will be introduced, but it is important whether there is competition for that product, whether they will be able to sell the product at that competitive price, will it be worth doing that, who are the competitors. Sometimes a product can be sold without any competition. So, it is just a perspective. So, when I am saying this, that it is just a perspective, I give an example of Bata sending two of their sales representatives to an island, and then they were supposed to give a report on the marketability and job prospects of sending their new brand of shoes. Okay. Now, one person immediately gave the report. He said that there is zero marketability, zero job prospect. So, this product cannot be sold at all. So, they asked what is the reason. The reason he said was that the people are still primitives, they are not civilized. So, they do not know how to wear shoes at all. So, there is no marketability. Now, the other person who went, he came out with a report which was very positive. He said that 100% marketability because none of them are wearing shoes. So, here is tremendous potential for selling our shoes. Look at the perspective. How are you going to match your goals with the company? The second person, you can see that here is a positive guy who is very highly ambitious. He is just thinking that it is just a matter of saleability. So, you should be able to convince them that shoes are important. So, once you convince, once you sell the first one, so then you are going to get the rest of the customers and absolutely no competition. So, when we say that identify the competitive environment, identify the area where there is no competition, identify the area where there is full competition, and how can the company defend itself or go aggressively in campaigning in a new area. So, all these things, if you can make some research of it, it helps positioning yourself in the CV as well as in the interview. Then know something about the market and trade dynamics. This means you should read lot of current affairs, lot of journals which are coming on these issues, know something that is happening in terms of inflation, world economy. So, keep reading these things and know something about the products, the services and technological trends which are happening. So, you know that sometime before computer, Pentium was a big thing. So, now you know that Pentium people, some of the new generation people, they do not even hear of. Okay. So, the processor has changed, and then think of the age when people are using black and white TV and the time when they are not using it at all, and the TV box that was so big in size, now it is becoming smaller and smaller. So, tomorrow nobody is going to use other than LED or advanced LED kind of TVs. So, keep an awareness of this technological trends, what is happening, what is changing, innovations and patterns of customer behavior. So, how do customers behave at one point of time? There was a time people lived with mobiles, and the time now is people think they cannot live without mobiles. So, how the customer behavior has changed, what contributed to this? Analyze this and be ready and try to position your CV in terms of your saleability somewhere in between these customers. Now, writing a CV, writing a curriculum vitae, keep certain other points in your mind before you actually start writing it. Make your aim in life, career plans and goals clear, having asked all these questions. Research the company and position that you want to apply for. Have a basic flexible CV written first. This means even when you are sending it to a particular company, do not write a CV that is meant only for that. Write a CV, identify all your merits, assets, skills, talent sets, everything, and then write a CV that is the main CV, and this will be like a mother one from which you will deviate and make lot of versions, modifications. So, make that flexible CV first, which can be tailor made, modified to suit the need of new companies, new positions that come up, but start with this flexible CV. So, this CV contains everything, and when you go for the next ones, you may remove something, add something according to the company and the position. Then modify it accordingly. The ideal length of a CV is about 4 pages, the minimum, but then as I said, maximum people go to 8 pages, 10 pages, 12 pages, 15 pages, depending on their accomplishments and depending on what kind of position that they are applying for. If it is a proposal that is asking for crores of rupees, obviously the CV has to be very strong and it has to contain in detail whatever has been done in the person's life and career. In that case, even the CV goes up to 20 pages. But the normal length, so around 4 to 6 pages will do. So, details can be discussed in the interview. So, keep that in mind. Now, again when you toy between the idea of CV or a resume, should you go for a CV or a resume? An ideal resume is just a single page, 1 page document. That is just 1 page, giving just the most important points. It lists previous jobs and accomplishments and sufficient information for getting an interview. So, just a single page document, and the aim is to just get an interview call letter. Whereas, a CV can be several pages and details about all sorts of memberships and side projects, memberships in various clubs, associations, activities, which for a resume is not that important unless that membership of really international quality and has a kind of relevance to the job that is applied for. Otherwise, they do not even talk about memberships, but in CV your memberships in various clubs also tell something about you. You can go for that. So, here again you make the choice. CV gives more of a sense of overall lifetime accomplishments in the field. It is complete lifetime showcasing, whereas resume is taking a very interesting slice of your life and puts major focus on that aspect and makes it relevant to the job that is applied for. So, you have to decide what is it that you are interested in, what kind of project that you are applying for. So, do they need long, elaborate, detailed version of your life and career or a short one? So, between this long and short, you decide whether it is a CV or a resume. Also do something called SWOT analysis. So, what is this SWOT analysis? So, S stands for your strong points, W stands for your weak points, O stands for your opportunities and T for threats. Now, when you do this SWOT analysis, it gives you a lot of confidence. Why? You are supposed to do this randomly, spontaneously. Take a notebook and start writing very quickly your strong points, write as many as possible. Then identify your weak points, write as many as possible. Then what are the available opportunities? Now, these opportunities mean how many jobs you have applied for, what are the chances that they are likely to recruit you, what are the chances that they are likely to reject you. So, that is what is mentioned as what do you perceive as threats. Threats in terms of educational qualification. So, you missed one semester or you failed in one course, so you repeat it. So, that is a threat. Will they highlight on that? Will they will they again and again pointedly ask question on that? So, that is a threat. Now, when you realize that that is a threat, see how you can overcome that threat, come out with a proper answer, defensive answer, so that it does not become the Achilles heel in eliminating you. So, identify the threats. Threats can also happen in terms of the other competitors who are applying for the job. So, they are also threats to you. Because of them, will you lose the job? In that case, it is better to honestly ask yourself, what is lacking in you and what do they have which you think that will cause rejection for you. Then is it not time that you upgrade your skills, upgrade your qualifications? Conversely, you also think, what is it that you have as the strongest point for which you should be selected against those candidates whom you fear will be selected. So, ask these questions. So, that comes under SWOT analysis. This also helps you to strengthen your CV. Now, let us look at the pro forma of CV. In a biodata, we just list it. Here, we also list it, but not in a serialized manner. We sort of catalog this, we sort of categorize. In biodata, we just say 1, 2, 3, 4, one name, father's name, and then address, phone number, etc. Here, you put it under the category personal details. So, under this personal details, you put all the details that will be related to your person. Okay. Now, starting with your name. Now, here again you have to give the last, first and the middle name, the complete name, father's name again last, first and middle, date of birth, age. Now, in terms of details, you see that not much difference between biodata and CV, only the way you are giving it, there is a difference. But then there is also CV which will try to minimize this kind of personal details. So, they will just go with name and then even sometimes date of birth, sex, marital status, they are all not given. So, nationality, if you are applying to a foreign country, yes, if it is a local one, even that is not given. But in the complete one, yes, even these details are added, sex indicating male, female, marital status, single, married, nationality, Indian, correspondence address or address for communication, the current address, that is the address where you are working now, studying now, or where you are located now, and then the permanent address that comes later is different from this correspondent address. The permanent address is the place where you stay for a longer time, where you may go eventually after your studies, where your parents are living or wife and children are living, but here you have come for temporary occupation. So, that is the difference between correspondence address. You are sure that within this 1 month you are in this place and where the call letter or something should come. In case you are not there, so then only you will say that you will remove this correspondence address that is current and give only permanent address, where you are sure that you are in this current place only for a couple of days, and by the time they send the letter you will not be available there. So, it is better you give the permanent address where you want them to send the call letter. Contact phone number. So, here again both office, residence, if you have both, or as many numbers as possible, because you do not want to miss the single call that comes from them, because one phone is engaged, you do not want them to miss that. So, give that. And although mobile is not mentioned here, mobile number is also taken for granted these days, mention the mobile number, give email ID, and if you have 2-3 email IDs, specify the ID that you will most check. Okay. So, do not give an ID that you will check once in a while, where they had sent the call letter and then you forgot to go to the interview in time. Inform the company after giving all these details. If there is change at any point of time, suddenly you got another appointment because of which you had to leave the place, you have to change your mobile number. So, inform the company immediately as and when there is a change, because that is going to cost your life and career. So, keep that in mind. So, when you write about the place of birth, you also try to add the district, add the state, passport number, especially if you are applying to outside India, it is better you mention about the passport number, driving license number, and if you have an international driving license, you mention it. It is also an added asset to you. Academic record, here as well as in resume, generally the last degree is mentioned first, that is the reverse chronological order is followed, unlike in a biodata. So, mention the specialization, mention the year of passing, mention the university, division, CGPA, whatever percentage grade that you have got, and special achievements. You may be the president's gold medal winner, you may be the director's gold medal awardee. So, whatever special achievements, you may be selected as the best student of the year. So, whatever you have got, so you mention that. And then if you have done some short term courses or professional training programs which you have attended, do not overlook them, mention them. So, those are also going to give you some kind of cutting edge. And membership of professional institutes and associations. As I said, in resume this part is ignored because this appears to be lengthy, but as many membership of professional institutes that you are a member, mention them. So, in CV this is an added advantage. We will look at more details other than this soon. In a CV you also mention about your sports and extracurricular activities, just as you do it in your biodata. In resume you have a choice, unless it is not related to the job, you try to avoid mentioning this. Now, especially if you have won some merits, award certificates in doing your sports and extracurricular activities, you should definitely mention it and mention the awards that you have won also, under which category, what level, whether it is district level, national level, international level. So, all these things should come here. Details of summer training and projects undertaken. Now, here it looks like what is there in this, but then those who do not have any work experience, especially fresh students, fresh graduates. So, for them it is very important, because there you can talk about your summer training that you went to some reputed companies, reputed institutes. You mention what kind of training you underwent, what is the period, what projects you undertook during this summer training, during your internship in some companies. Sometimes fortunately you get into some foreign companies also. There are opportunities waiting there when you mention this and you have done something in that company. Some of the competitors are interested in knowing what you did there, which you can do it for them also. And some of the projects that you undertake during this time, so becomes very valuable, and then they want to give more money, employ you, and then make you continue with that project in a very elaborate and change the magnitude to a higher level. So, they want you to have for all these reasons. So, summer training is also important, and mention about the projects that you have undertaken. And in terms of skills, you can mention certain things like computer, say how computer savvy are you. So, today on the one hand you know that there is nobody who says that I do not know how to use a computer, but when we ask this, you are supposed to say computer languages known. So, certain languages which are known to everybody. So, you cannot say that I use Microsoft Word, okay, but what about Java, what about Corba. So, languages which people do not use normally, but which needs highly specialized knowledge, lot of patience, practice, training. Now, if you know that, you say, and then talk about the software packages you could handle, you had handled, and you prove it, you have some certificates or you had some workshops attended, you mention that. Talk about your other achievements in CV, such as member of other clubs, other groups. So, for example, if you are for example associated with nature club, wildlife club, okay, photography, robotics, aero modeling and so on. So, if you are also associated with these clubs, so in IIT Kanpur for example, there is this Himalayan trekking club. So, it is quite interesting to see some engineers going and joining and taking it so seriously, and they every year they go to the Himalayas. It is purely trekking rather than mountaineering. They trek along the mountainous areas, they climb high slopes, but they practice here. Okay. Lot of jogging, lot of physical training is done before that. So, this is an indication that you are physically fit to work even in areas which are cold, okay, which are very high in pressure, altitude. So, you can work even in that area because you frequently go there. So, these club activities sometimes is also indicating something that is an asset in you which you do not see overtly. And any other achievements in student life which are not brought under these categories, if something you have done, something cannot be brought under these categories, you can mention that in a different category. Overall, you can also bring this under your significant achievements. List your significant achievements A, B, C, D, E, F, at least 3 significant achievements which you could do, which will reveal you as a unique personality with unique talent and skill. So, think of that, and some more questions, try to answer them and then try to put them in that category. What type of assignments are you aspiring for? So, you can identify the one, like if you are interested in entrepreneurial, so put it on the top, and then if you are least interested in administrative, put it at the bottom. So, it can be entrepreneurial, managerial, dynamic, growth oriented, administrative, entrepreneurial and managerial. So, it says people believe that many entrepreneurs are interested in being entrepreneurs only. So, they leave the managerial job to somebody who is good at managing things, because entrepreneurs are creative artists, most of the times they are genius. So, what kind of a person are you? So, accordingly you also tell what you are aspiring for. Another interesting question that will be asked in the interview, to which you should address in the CV, is that in the coming 5 years, I expect to have the following career path. The question that will be asked in the interview is, what will you do in the next 5 years? Where will you be? What position will you be holding in the next 5 years? So, in that case, you answer that in this manner, focus it on your CV. You say that in the coming 5 years, I expect to have the following career path. I will be here, I will be at this level, I will be in this kind of company, I will be chasing this kind of product, I will be having this kind of goal. So, mention it clearly. There are certain slight hobbies, extracurricular activities you can mention, such as for example, your reading habits, books and articles. If you are reading on global economy, so mention it. General business practices, specify industry, general knowledge, current affairs. So, if your reading habits are related to this, so under your personal details we can mention about this. But if your reading habit is just reading a newspaper or a film magazine, you better mention that not, because that can even give a negative impression. So, if your reading habit is very poor and it's not up to the career that you are applying for, so then you should not mention. But if it is something that you want to highlight in terms of reading habit, please do it. Now, other interesting things which can be asked, decision making abilities, your decision making abilities, how do you show that? So, are you too quick? Will you take quick decision and regret later, or you take quick decision and be firm, remain firm about it, or are you more thorough but sometimes too slow? You want to take a decision only when you are 100% sure about the consequence and result, so you keep delaying things and you are slow. But once you make a decision, everybody appreciates you for that decision, but you take such a long time. What kind of a person are you? So, assess you in terms of decision making, that is a very important skill for managerial positions. And your thinking, are you an intuitive thinker or a logical thinker? Will you believe in your hunch? Will you believe what something called the inner voice is telling you, or you go by what your mind tells you, what is logical, what you think is appearing to be mathematically and scientifically correct. So, do you go for this or that? What kind of person are you? Identify that and try to position that. Will you involve others in decision making, or you are an independent decision maker? So, again there are people who will involve so many people and then make the decision. There are others who will listen to all, make their own decision. There are others who will not listen to anybody and make their own decision. So, identify what kind of decision maker you are, and describe a complex situation in which you had to learn a lot quickly. How did you go about learning? How successful were the results? So, a very complex situation, and how did you deal with that? A complex situation, for example, the CEO had quarrel with the manager because of a difference of opinion, and it is your manager who is leading your team. Now, things are at stake. You have to prove to the CEO, who listens to you but not listening to the manager. You have to play a mediator role, and you have to use your soft skills, communication skills, and of course prove by your own work and results that what the manager has said is likely to happen, and you have to prove it. So, how do you handle such complex situations? Friction between higher ups, you are in between. So, that is one complex situation. So, how have you done it in the past? What did you learn from this? And all these things, if you can put it, this will also highlight your position. Another thing that they want to see from your CV is your creativity. How creative are you? So, you know that most of the designing and most of the products which are selling in markets at high premium are all products of good designs, and good designing involves good creativity. Now, how creative are you? What are the best examples of your creativity in processes, systems, methods, products, structures or services? Where do you apply your creativity? Identify that. Have you tried to build team spirit? Cite examples of your success and failures. So, definitely you should have any kind of example that happened even when you are doing your graduation, something happened in the lab, something happened when you are doing project, when you went for in-plant training. Identify that situation and then highlight it. Describe situations when your alertness enabled you to solve a complex problem. So, for example, you smelt some kind of gas where others were not doing it, but you realized that that is a leakage from some machine, and you immediately put off the electrical connections, disconnected everything, closed the room and then called the fire engine and other precautions. So, how did you started? How did you went about? What did you do? So, solving a complex problem, taking your initiative, that is also trying to position you. Have you changed for the better during the recent years? So, if you have done so, of course, the answer is yes, I have changed better in the recent years, but what made you change? How have you changed? Especially when you went for the job and now you want to leave the job. In the past 3 years, what happened to you? What have changed you? So, try to identify that, mention it. And other questions are related to organization. Keep answering these questions. How well organized are you? Because your ability to organize even your table tells a lot about you. So, a good manager, an efficient worker keeps only the single paper, single file, single book, single material, single task that has to be accomplished, and rest of the space on the table is empty. But in your table there will be so many files, so many books, so many gadgets, and then coffee cup, 2, 3 and then some eatables thrown. Now, the table itself will showcase your ability to be organized or how disorganized or how poorly organized you are. Organization of time, organization of your energy, organization of the resources which are available. So, what do you do to be organized and what do you feel you ought to do to be better organized? So, your skills as an organizer, how far you can make improvement despite the skills that you have already. If not, then what steps are you taking? So, try to answer these questions. So, you get a good positioning of your CV. How much supervision do you want or need? Now, this you have to answer the earlier question, whether you like to work independently or with group. This is similar to that. If you say I do not need supervision at all, so this also is not very good. If you say that I need constant supervision, otherwise I have a tendency to get distracted, this is also a negative. So, you can say that once the task is assigned to me, once the target is set to me, I do not need any supervision. Once the idea, everything is clear to me, I do not need any supervision. However, gentle supervising then and there to remind my objectives is always welcome and it is always helpful to me. What the company is looking for is that from your CV, are you a person who can work independently without supervision? Are you the kind of person who will work even if you are not monitored by CCTV or manager or supervisor just behind your shoulders? Are you lost in your work? That is what they want to know. So, if you are, so they really would like to appoint you. Describe a situation in which you are most effective in selling an idea or yourself. So, this again in interview they will ask you to sell a pencil, sell a rubber, sell a coconut, sell a fridge to an Eskimo. So, if you have come across such situation in your real life, so think of how you can create the need. So, selling for example a refrigerator to an Eskimo, at the outset it looks why he needs it, okay. But if you can convince him that in a refrigerator you can modify the temperature and there are certain products which cannot go below 0, which will be spoilt, which can become rotten. So, you can sell even a refrigerator to an Eskimo. And how have you done it? So, if you have done it before, so mention it, so that is going to give you another credit. And overall, what is it that motivates you? So, one person said that, I mean you should not say that, oh, it is money that is motivating me. So, everybody knows that money is important, but it cannot be the motivating factor for you. Most of the times what is motivating you is the challenge that the job is going to offer. So, that is the thing that will motivate you. So, try to tell them in terms of the challenges. Challenges once accomplished, so you are able to develop your personality, you are able to develop yourself into a better person and your goals are achieved. Achieving goals gives you the utmost fulfillment, the intrinsic value which money cannot fulfill. Money can satisfy your external wants, not the internal wants. And give some examples of the biggest challenges you have faced and overcome. I remember a student who said that his cutting edge, his merit is that he will go to any place and wherever a machine is in a dysfunctional stage, he can make it functional, operational. He said that in his CV, but as soon as he joined the job, he was told to go to their R&D section and there was a machine lying there for worth some 10 crore rupees and he was given the task, said that within 3 months you have to set it right. Now, he set that right within 1 month, it became functional, he got a certificate for doing it, he applied that in his next job and then he was absorbed in. So, cutting edge, he can make any dysfunctional machines functional. Evidence, he did that in the previous job, he got the certificate. So, that is the example and he even mentions that and he shows the certificate. And towards the end you should have references, and when you give references, just like in biodata, inform the people, tell them beforehand that they will be contacted, give their phone number and email addresses, because they will be contacted on phone number as well as using email also. And overall, having said all these things, try to describe your objectives in just one line, two line, your professional objective, your personal objective, and try to correlate your personal objective with the professional objective. So, that is again going to give your application that cutting edge. Last but not the least, people try to give some very simple family details. Sometimes giving family details are also necessary, because it also gives them a feeling whether you are an individual or you are married with 2-3 children and you do not want to move your family. So, these details sometimes are also interesting, sometimes are also determining. So, you use your own discretion whether to give it or not, but generally a very brief detail about you. So, that always helps to give a kind of personal touch at the end of your CV. This is for further reference. Hopefully, I have given you a very good overview of the CV. If you are able to follow these steps, definitely you will be able to write not just a good CV, but also a very effective one. Effective one in the sense, it should be able to get you the interview call letter. And once you get the interview call letter, once again go through the CV, the kind of questions which I asked you and the kind of answers that I gave you. So, those are the ones which are actually showcasing your talent, your skills and then merits. Keep them in mind, identify your merits, identify your limitations, argue for your limitations. Richard Bach says, sure enough they are yours. So, you do not have to worry about your limitations, focus on the merits, but at the same time own the limitations, defend it and work on them. Make your limitations so negligible by making your merits so high. So, if you are somebody like Steve Jobs, so people are not going to tell you why are you working overnight. Okay. So, if you get up late, so people are not going to worry if you are able to prove your merit as a genius person. So, try to highlight on that, do not worry about your limitations. I am sure you will be able to send a good CV. So, wish you all the best in your career. Thank you.